Welcome to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.
Hi, everyone. You're listening to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm your host, Lee Brecheen. We've got a good show today. Our co-host is Jace LeJeune, our editor, Louisiana Football Magazine. Helps us with LAFootballmagazine.com, our website. Go check that out. We've got stories every day. Andon, our interns, Wright, and Mac, our other intern, are doing a good job writing for the website, along with Jace. And then as a team, I go over and give the stories every week that we do, and guys that I see play. But today's show, we're going to talk about the decommitment, Aaron Anderson, what that means to LSU. Moving forward, even though it's a verbal, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the interview we have with Coach David Simoneaux at Catholic High School. We got a great interview with Coach Simoneaux, which will start the show today. And then you'll love this if you're a parent and a coach. We're going over the rankings on the private side, public side of all the schools going to the playoffs. We're not doing power rankings because we still got a game left, right, Jason?
Right. There's still a lot of football left to be played to decide the rankings.
What I will like to announce, and I'm pretty pumped about it, is that we're going to do our first video show, and we're going to do the playoff show, our playoff show, Louisiana Football Magazine's playoff show.
Yep.
Which me and Jace are going to put together and record on Monday. And it's going to be two parts. It'll be a Monday, and then it'll be Wednesday. So you can catch two parts. It'll probably be 2 hours worth total. Stuff takes a lot of time. And I did the LHSA show for several years.
Sure.
With a good guy, Jeff Palermo.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to do our own show. And the first part will be when we're going to tape it Monday morning. And then by Monday night, you can go up and just be sure to go to Podbean, where we host our podcast.
Yep.
Or wherever you get your podcast. We're on most of those major.
iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify.
Google.
Right. So they're all available on those podcasts. It's also available on YouTube, too. So
if you're a listener and you're a fan and you're somewhere in Louisiana or Texas or wherever you're listening, just make a note. That Monday show, you can go up Monday night. We can't tell you what time. It might be 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, Monday. Get part one of our playoff show, and then part two will be on Wednesday late in the afternoon. We'll probably try to tape it Tuesday.
Sure.
So we'll have it up Wednesday. Actually, we're going to tape most of it Monday, actually, and then split it up.
Split it up, yep.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be.
It's 9 brackets. It's a whole lot to dissect.
Look, it was an hour show in New Orleans when we did the LHSA show, and I don't know how we did an hour. It was just like
you can do 5, really. You want to dig deep into it.
If you want to really get, and you never get it all in still. So
because all of y'all mentioned 1 or 2 teams really per bracket to really watch out for.
It's hard to. Our show's going to give another hour, so it's 2 hours. And it might end up 2 hours and 10 minutes or something, but that's why we got this podcast, man. There's no unlimited time.
Yeah, unlimited time. That's the beauty of it.
And so you'll get 2 hours worth with our show, in depth, me watching the games, me watching the players. And I will tell you this, Jace will tell you, I put a lot of heart and soul in watching these kids and these teams and watching huddle, going to games Thursday nights and Fridays, and really think you'll get a lot of personal touch on really these teams and how they are and the kids.
Well, Lee's got me beat by a whole wide margin because covering really one football team this fall. I'm just really so limited to my knowledge of this year, really seeing that really team and those teams played, and Lee has seen pretty much everybody play this year. So he's definitely got me beat as far as the teams to watch out for this year.
Well, it's not so much about that. It's just about you'll be able to wing it. You'll know more than most people doing this, Jace. I would say Jace would know more than 99% of the other people saying, well, what about, really? Sure. Did you even go to the game? Did you really watch the team?
Sure.
But at least you're going to have about 25 teams that you've seen in person through Episcopal.
Yep.
You'll have seen, once the playoffs is over, I'm just guesstimating here, Episcopal. I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. I think Episcopal will win their first round game. I'm just going to say it. I don't even know who they're playing yet.
Yeah,
but
right.
I'm just guesstimating that by that second round,
that's when things going to get interesting.
And then you said you would have seen 25 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But
we're going to go ahead and go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to go to Coach David Simoneaux. You're going to love the interview at Catholic High that we did. I also want people to know when we go video, we got all the video versions that we'll put up when we go video.
Yeah.
Of Coach Simoneaux, Emory Jones, Kylan Dupree, the punter kicker, Bill, the center, the quarterback Bill, all the players.
Yeah, it's still available on on Podbean on Wednesday, and it is about 2 hours. But if you want to find out, I want to listen to the Emory Jones interview. I want to listen to, it's actually divided by time, so you can say that you'll see that the Emory Jones interview is at the 5-minute mark, so you can jump right into whenever the interview is being done.
And we interviewed, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, but it was at least 7 players.
It was about, I believe it was 8. So 8 players.
And then Simoneaux 9 today. It was so many, we had to save Simoneaux for today's show, which we'll do when we come back. We'll be right back. Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. It's a cool show today because you get a chance to hear Coach Simoneaux talk from Catholic High Baton Rouge, and we're going to talk about the playoffs, not the rankings of PowerPoint.
It's not official.
Just rankings.
Right. Not official.
But we'll get into having our own show
when it is
week.
Official.
That's right. That's right. So let's go ahead and go to part 1 of part 2. Coach Simoneaux, Catholic High, doing an interview with Coach Simoneaux at Catholic High. Check it out.
Using everything. But I'm here at Catholic High School with the head football coach, David Simoneaux. David, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely.
This is wall of honor. Y'all running out of room.
No doubt. Yeah.
I mean, this is baseball too.
Yeah.
But all the guys that have come out of here, and I know you growing up, we covered you when you were at Parkview Baptist.
Yeah.
You were a heck of a ball player there. You did a great job at Catholic Point Capee, and now at Catholic High School. Getting a job here, the great things that you have, the facilities here, but also, this is the big boy league, and every week is tough,
Sure.
And y'all just coming off of a loss with Woodlawn, but got 1 game left regular season with Dutchtown.
Mm-hmm.
I know this week. What's your thoughts on how things have gone so far for your team, Coach, this year's first year?
Yeah, I think what these guys did, our players and our coaches did to start this year off with the stretch we had going up there to Washington, D.C., and then the 4 or 5 games we had to win after that. We really got through the pre-district schedule, which was a bear, and survived unscathed. They came right out and played EA after that, which is one of the best teams we had on our schedule. Darnell's doing a great job with those guys over there. So it has, man. There's been no real room to take a deep breath. And then Woodlawn came out last week and just played a great football game against us. Ricky Collins, we couldn't get him off the field on 3rd down. You can't really look and say, hey, man, we didn't do this. We should have done this to prepare, or whatever it may be. They made the competitive plays and we didn't. Hats off to Marcus and his crew for getting that done, So just proud of our body of work at this point in time. I think it, never feels good to lose a ball game, but hopefully this is just what the doctor ordered in terms of
reset button, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely, man. We had a great practice yesterday. Dutchtown's going to be another great test on Thursday. They got some great players and are extremely well coached, so we'll have to bring our A game.
Yeah, Sampson's a heck of a little running back, isn't he?
Man, he is. Explosive.
Unique.
Yeah.
You've seen all types of players, Acadiana, West Monroe.
Yeah.
The who's who, Maryland, like Sutter Lady Council. I mean,
yeah.
What sticks out to you out of all these great programs? Everybody has great players, but did anybody surprise you in this group of tough teams? Going in, they're all good. But
Sure.
Did anybody surprise you being a little bit better than maybe you thought they were?
Well, just because the blood in the mouth's fresh, Woodlawn last week just had a great game plan on both sides of the football. Thought they were very patient. on the offensive side of the ball, a lot more so than we expected. They were able to kind of soften us up and run the football there at the end of the football game, But those guys just across the board played great football on both sides, and hats off to those guys.
Some of your unsung heroes, I don't want to start with the big names, but Wax at DB and Joshua Robinson, those two guys are incredible, Coach.
Yeah.
I know Wax is he coming back? I know that he's missed some games, had an injury, but what are those two guys meant to your program? I mean, I'm under the radar guys that they bring in a lunchbox. And
sure.
Incredible in that defensive backfield.
Oh, they're dynamite. I mean, they both have great speed. Josh Wax is kind of the captain back there in the secondary. Him and Benji Gordon have both had tremendous years for us at safety. And Wax did miss a couple of games with his shoulder, but he's been back and playing strong. He's a guy that has great speed. I mean, he almost ran down the Givens kid last week when he made a long touchdown run. And then Josh Robertson is just an explosive player that just makes these killer hits. He's not very big, but, I mean, he just come up and will strike you. He's been starting for 3 years now, so, I mean, he's got a lot of savvy back there as well.
You came from Parkview, which, to me, y'all brought it every week. I mean, y'all are I always say the blue-collar talent, but y'all, when the game was over, the team would shake your hand saying, we don't want to play you again. I mean, y'all brought it. But you got two guys on the D-line that bring it every play. Wesley Woodward, Jordan Toston.
Yeah.
And you got a whole really good D-line. What do you think of those two seniors, how they bring it every
Those two
play?
guys, and Jeremiah Vessel goes right along with those guys. I mean, they've just been outstanding. Jeremiah actually had a just incredible week against Santa Maul 2 weeks ago, where I thought he was just all over the place. Woody's a guy that's an emotional and tough guy that's been a great team leader for us, is down in there getting it done, all the time. And Toston, he's kind of our pass rush specialist, but really does an awesome job stopping the run as well, Those guys are just dudes that have been so solid for us. Again, they're returning starters. Have done an awesome job.
Wesley had about 5 sacks against Lafayette Christian. Was that his best game that you saw him?
Yeah, he did a lot of good things in there. We were doing a lot of different stuff with the twist game. We ended up popping free, and he's got that motor that's just relentless, So had a really good night that night.
The team, your quarterback was a freshman last year. He's a sophomore for you. What do you think of having such a young guy? He's so mature.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like a senior mentally out there. I mean, what is it about him? You've been around some good quarterbacks.
Yeah. He's a good hand, man. Cool, calm, and collected. Doesn't get rattled. Really is a student of the game as well. So just seeing him mature and be out there, nothing really rattles him. Of course, he's got some good targets to throw to, and done a good job of distributing the football for us. But what you get with Daniel is he's going to be here every single day. He's going to bring his A game. He competes. Extremely coachable. Looking forward to continuing to see him mature.
Jonathan Beal might be the best ACT score football player in the state. Isn't it a perfect score?
Yeah.
He hit 35, I believe.
36.
36. Yeah, that's the perfect score.
Yep.
But that's his brother, the quarterback, the Beal brothers.
Yeah.
What does he mean to that O-line to you?
Oh man, look, he Emory Jones gets all the pub, but Jonathan has been just dynamite for us. I'd be shocked if he wasn't a first team all-district performer. Comes off the ball, and just really blows people out of there, and makes all our calls up front. Obviously he's extremely sharp, but he's a great communicator too. So he's done a really good job of getting us in good situations, and he plays with a great motor.
Hope you enjoyed the Coach Simoneaux interview at Catholic High Baton Rouge. I want to say Catholic High University.
It's almost like that, though.
Unbelievable. We're going to go take a break. We'll come right back with the final part of our interview with Coach Simoneaux of Catholic High Baton Rouge. If you need a paint job or repairs to your vehicle, go see Madine's Collision Center located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on Kincaid Avenue. The number to call is 357-7983. That's 357-7983. Your Baton Rouge Accident Advisors.
Emory's playing tougher this year. Not that he wasn't bad last year, but I mean, he's just starting to finish blocks, and he's starting to finish a lot of blocks every week. But what do you think of where Emory came from as a junior, now that you had him as a senior?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about him. I mean, character, work ethic, toughness, heart, team leader, but his nastiness, coming off the ball and then finishing people is something that I hadn't seen in a very long time. And, we're proud to have him. He does everything we ask of him, and has, again, been a great leader for us.
Does he remind you any of Lyle Collins? Remember when y'all were
A lot, man. A lot.
Remember he was a man among boys back in the day?
A lot of length, good motor. So got a great future.
Lyle off Smitchnick is Redemptor's Parkview battles back in the day.
Absolutely.
Kylan Dupree, great punter.
Yes.
Great kickoff guy for me.
Yeah. Dynamite weapon, man. I mean, unsung hero, just being that he's in the kicking game, but golly, the way he's flipped the field for us all year long has been awesome. Not having to cover kicks for the most part because he's 95% in terms of touchbacks has been awesome too. So, man, we're gonna miss him. He's gonna be a dynamite player at the next level.
I think so, Coach. And your running backs, you've got 3 really special running backs, and they share the ball. No one complains. It's team ball.
Yeah.
It's not just one back like at most schools, but you just seem to make it work with rotating backs here.
Well, those guys I think they've kind of seen that happen before. That's a credit to the staff that came before us. And then, these guys are selfless and care a lot about each other. We're not only splitting times between those 3, but, just the ball being distributed to all the guys we have on the perimeter. So there's only one ball to go around, and it would be easy for selfishness to creep in, but they hadn't let that do it. So proud of the way they responded to that. Corey Singleton's kind of our thunder, just downhill guy that does a great job of pounding people. Tay Nicholas is more of the flash and dash, got a lot of speed. And then Barry Remo is kind of their understudy and is really going to have a great career.
Then you got a
slot
slot senior who used to be a running back that's a great player too.
Yeah, Trey is awesome, man. Trey Benson, dynamite. First man never takes him down. Gotten the ball a lot this year. Guy that we can count on to make big plays when we need it.
What do you think of Shelton Sampson? I watched his dad play. You know his dad. Going back to Redemptor's Parkview days.
Yeah.
He's 4 inches taller than his dad.
Yeah.
I remember Shelton was 6 foot running the ball.
Yeah.
220 power.
Yeah.
With the Northwestern State. And now the son's playing here as a junior, and he's 6'4", and he looks like a Terrace Marshall, at LSU. But what do you think of where he's at right now?
I'm just really proud of his work ethic. He's not a guy that's just talented. He's a guy that goes out there and grinds on the practice field every day and really works to be a competitor at his craft. He does the dirty work of blocking for his teammates, and he's a team guy, So proud of the way that he's just shown that it's not just about him catching balls. It's about him going out there and dominating Monday through Thursday so he can go out there on Friday and dominate. And he does it in all phases, not just catching the ball. So he's a remarkable talent and a pleasure to be around.
Talk about your guy. I think the Catholic Point Capee people would appreciate this, but you have a player that signed with LSU this year. And he's playing a little bit, special teams. But talk about your guy from Catholic Point Capee that was very underrated. We had him on the cover.
Yeah.
But
just super proud of him, he's a guy that nobody thought could do it. And, first opportunity he got to get healthy, had a little hamstring during 2 days, I believe. But as soon as he got healthy, was running down on all the special teams. And, talking with some of those guys over there, they just got a really high opinion of his work ethic and the type of player that he's going to be. Dynamite speed, great size and strength, So proud of him, man. He's done a lot for himself.
You think he'll be a receiver? But they got a ton of receivers. Or do you think he'll
stay on the defensive side. He likes contact too much.
Man, I miss him not getting the ball, though.
Yeah.
He did some great things for you.
Absolutely.
He did some great things.
Absolutely.
Remind me of Kerry Koch.
Yeah.
They played at Dunham a few years ago in Virginia and Tulane.
No doubt.
Coach, any final thoughts about the Catholic High program? And, this is your first year here, but you grew up in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
You faced Catholic at Parkview growing up.
Yeah.
What has surprised you the most since you've become the coach here? Now that you're part of Catholic
man.
High.
I've been overwhelmed by our administration and our staff and just how much they want to see these kids do well, not just in academics, not just in their spiritual life, but that, there is a strong emphasis on athletics, and they don't really apologize for that, And I think it's a great model to show that, you can work to be excellent, not only at academics and spiritual life, but, that it's okay to have the holistic approach to education. These kids benefit from being in a place where they push all programs, whether it's the choir or the bowling team or the football team, to be excellent, So just proud of the support from the top, from the administration, and what they do to allow these kids to be successful.
Look, I see the toughness of this team this year.
Awesome.
And I see your brand on it. Because when
Man,
you were in high
appreciate
school, you were a tough
Thank
son
you,
of a gun.
Thank you.
I mean, people don't remember that, how tough you were as a running back, linebacker. You started both sides of football.
Play a little bit on both sides.
I mean, for Coach Guillot, I mean, you didn't leave the field. And, I mean, I remember those teams at Parkview. If you were on that DN or D tackle or tight end or fullback, you were going on the other side of the ball. You didn't leave the field.
But when you're not big or talented, you got to be tough, you know. So that was one part of my game I may have had, but I didn't have the talent and the speed and stuff like that.
But I see a little more giddy up in this team. I see a little more toughness.
Well, thank you, man.
I see your brand on.
That's a credit to them, man. They're working their butts off every day. So,
you know, I know you were at Central a while over there for a long time.
Sure.
And then what you did in New Roads was incredible.
That was fun, man. It was fun.
Glad to see you here at Catholic High, Baton Rouge, the Bears. Everywhere I go in the state, they ask me about Catholic.
Awesome.
If I'm at West Monroe, if I'm at Brother Martin, especially Jesuit.
Yeah.
Like, what do you? How good's Catholic? I'm like,
Sure.
well, they already know that answer.
Yeah.
I mean, But it's the same guys at the end. It's going to be the same 6 to 8.
And it'll be a war.
And y'all
It'll
either played them
Yeah.
in the last year or played them this year.
Yep.
Do you like that, having to play another team twice?
Not really. You know, of course, I'd love to see it all come back together to where we could all slug it out at the end of the year. But we'll play the teams we get to play, man, and let the chips fall where they may.
That's the thing, though. You've played the West Monroes. You've played the Acadianas, the Rustons.
Yeah.
I mean, so they can't say Catholics just played the 5A or private side. Y'all have taken on the best public side of 5A. I think y'all did y'all scrimmage Zachary or anything?
No, we didn't get Brew this year.
That's probably the only one y'all didn't take on this year that was a top 3 5A team. Maybe them and Ponchatoula, maybe?
Right.
But y'all played everybody else. And even Lafayette Christian,
Yeah, that was
who's
a war.
won 4 state titles.
Yeah. That was a war.
Don't back down from anybody, huh, Coach?
I inherited this schedule.
Go a little lighter next year, maybe?
No, but our kids like the competition, and we're up to it. So.
Some good people, though, that you go against. Like you said,
Absolutely.
Trev Falk, Lafayette Christian, Acadiana. They're a great coach over there. I mean, great people. Look, man, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks
You're
for having
busy,
us on,
man. You got a game this week. Good luck to you, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate y'all.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Coach Simoneaux, about 15 minutes long. Great guy. He's done a good job first year. Jace, they have a chance to win it again.
Yes, they do.
Before we get into all this other talk. But if Catholic stays dialed in, and I think they will, I think and I hate, again, people say, why would a loss be good?
Oh, I can tell you a story about that, too.
You can redial, reset.
Yeah, the first Catholic High State Championship team, 2015, it was my senior year at Catholic High School. So I was friends with all these guys on the football team, Clyde Edwards and all. I was Ian Bryan. I was friends with all those guys. They played Dutchtown on a Thursday, I believe, and they got blown out. They came, and I talked to all those guys before the game happened.
And what year was that?
2015.
2015.
And I talked to all those guys before it happened, that the day of the game, and said, oh, yeah, we should beat Dutchtown by 20, 30 points. They were rolling at the time, and they really found the groove. Confident. But they were overconfident, and Dutchtown beat the brakes off Catholic.
Right.
It wasn't even close.
Right.
And then everybody soon doubted Catholic on that playoff run, myself included. I told all those guys because, they played Brother Martin, and that was when they had Irv Smith and Swilling, and said, you're not going to beat those guys. There's no chance.
Right.
And then they beat Brother Martin. And then next week they played Rummel. It's like, Rummel's a much more balanced team. You're not going to play. You're not going to be Evangel. Actually, Evangels that they played. So
on the road.
On the road, yeah. It's like there's no way you're going to beat Evangel. And then they found a way to beat Evangel. They played Rummel in the state championship game with Cade and Christian Fulton and all those great guys, that great teams. That there's no way you're going to beat Rummel when they beat Rummel. So I doubt it every single time, but it just shows you that a loss like that Dutchtown game can really wake a team up.
I think
it happened right before the playoffs, and this could happen again because they did lose. Now they lost to a very talented Woodlawn team.
Yeah.
But I believe that this type of game could really wake Catholic High up and help them for the better.
Well, they don't. They're the most talented team on the private side of 5A that I've seen in the state. I do think Jesuit and Brother Martin is a challenge possibly for them.
Yeah.
And Curtis, you never can count John Curtis out.
Sure. Burt had a good team last year, and not as good, like you said, not as good this year.
Yeah.
But you can't count them out either.
You don't know who's showing up for St. Aug in the playoffs. So St. Aug, I'm sure, will be in this. And you don't want to play them because they're talented. And you never
Same
know.
as Scotlandville. You don't know what team's going to show up for Scotlandville.
But I think the two teams that can beat Catholic is Brother Martin.
I agree with you.
And Jesuit. Jesuit's the more talented team. I put them two. This is just my own rankings here on watching teams play. But I think you could see a Jesuit Catholic High state championship if they're on opposite brackets when all this is said and done.
Yeah, that's a key part to it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. And if they're not on opposite brackets, they're going to have to beat each other to continue on to go. Before we get into brackets, the next segment, before we talk about, I'm not going to say brackets, I'm talking about the rankings.
Yeah, some of the teams that just stick out right now.
We're not doing power rankings. We're just talking about the rankings of all the classifications. Let's talk about Aaron Anderson. And Aaron Anderson from Edna Karr switched his commitment from LSU to Alabama. Now, when I talked to Coach Bryce Brown back in July, I went to a scrimmage, and I asked Coach, I said, is it over? Is LSU the school for Aaron? And the way he looked at me, and he was honest, he said, not over, it's Bama LSU. So basically the whole time, just so the fans know and people know.
It wasn't just because of the coaching.
No, he was always LSU, Alabama. He had committed to LSU, but he had took a visit to Alabama not long after his commitment to LSU.
That's right.
And I think the coaching change was maybe a reason to just go ahead and make the change.
And lean,
But depending on who they hire, if they get a big name who was recruiting him, he comes back in the fold. My prediction.
Yeah, it's still not over yet with Alabama.
But let me tell you how good I think he is, Jace. And I've been thinking about this for months. I'm like, how can I compare him to somebody? And he's a clone of this guy. It's so scary, and people don't know it, but I'm telling the public. Number 10 from the Chiefs.
That's exactly who he reminds me of. Tyreek Hill. He reminds me exactly of Tyreek Hill.
And let me tell you something.
You're right.
Anybody in the media that says he's not that good, they don't know talent, okay? This guy is Tyreek Hill.
Yes, I totally agree with that comparison.
His build, his playmaking ability, his height, which is about 5'8.5", 5'9". And you know how Tyreek is muscled up? And he's probably the toughest 5'9", 5'8".
Yeah, he's compact just like Tyreek.
That is Aaron Anderson.
Yep.
And so I'm trying to share that with the public that's never seen him play. And he's on the level with Tyreek when it comes to making plays with 4.3 speed. They're on that same level. And actually, I think Aaron's a little faster than Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that you watch. It looks like he's jogging, and then everybody else is in slow motion.
Backwards.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
So anybody that says, "Oh, LSU doesn't need a receiver, another one," listen, timeout. It's not
just a receiver.
Don't put him in that box. Do you think people called Jalen Waddle just a receiver at Alabama? What about David Palmer when he was there? What about Warwick Dunn? Did you put him in a box? He was everything. He was
Pierre Warwick at Florida State was like that.
They were playmakers. Rocket Ismail.
Yep.
Aaron Anderson is very important to get back into this LSU class. You do not want him at Alabama because he's going to be as good or better than Waddle. I think he's going to be better than Waddle. I think Tyreek Hill's better than Waddle.
Yeah.
So that is who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a long time, but I was watching Tyreek the other night, and I'm like, that is Aaron.
Because I was thinking the same thing, just watching him play the last couple of years. Like, he, especially in the state championship game, that was the first time I really watched him a lot last year. I said the first player that came to my mind was Tyreek Hill when I saw him play. And he's just like that. So
just understand, if you're an LSU fan, Aaron Anderson's not a guy that's going to go over there and be another receiver. He's going to be a guy that's going to be penciled in to be in the four wide, day one.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Because if you put him in the mold with last year's class, and you know how talented last year's class was, I think he's still ranked above or at the very top with the Brian Thomases and the Jack Besses, all those guys. Yeah. He's the very top last year.
And Malik Neighbors is underrated, and he's an NFL guy.
Yeah, he is.
But they don't have a guy like Aaron Anderson at LSU. They don't have that kind of
guy. With the gear that he has.
He's got another universe gear.
Mm-hmm.
And you want a guy that can return punts, who runs 4.3? That guy's the legitimate guy in the United States.
Why is he only a 4-star is my guess.
Listen, I don't want to say nothing else about whoever's ranking these guys, but there's no such thing as a 5-star if he's not one.
Yeah, he has to be a 5-star.
I mean, I'm not a ranking guy. I'll rank behind the scenes. Jace knows how I do all that.
Sure.
But that's just, to me, that's just not right, that he's not a top 50 player in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, top 10.
Yeah.
And I think I hate to see if there's a better athlete than Aaron Anderson.
I'd like to see one. I really would like to see one.
I mean, the last player LSU had in the slot that was all world to me was Skylar Green.
Okay, yeah.
Skylar was 5'8", 5'9", 165, and you couldn't just peg him as, he's a receiver. No. He was in motion, reverses. He could do kick returns, punt returns. I don't put Trenton Holiday in there because he wasn't big enough to really be a receiver.
Yeah. He was just really a return specialist, the way he was.
But it's been since Skylar Green. LSU needs that kind of guy. He's a different guy.
Mm-hmm. And Nick Saban loves those guys, like you mentioned, with Jalen Waddle. And then, Skylar Green was there with Saban.
Well, Nick just signed the kid from Texas.
JoJo Earl.
He's trying to
be that, yeah.
But JoJo's going to get beat out by Aaron Anderson.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's not even close.
That's incredible.
And JoJo was the number 1 athlete in Texas.
He was like a 5-star, number 1 athlete, like you said, number 1 athlete in Texas, the big state of Texas.
You don't see his speed great, different at Alabama. He just looks like another guy at Alabama. But, again, that's how important it is. But I think if they get the right coach, if they hire a coach like the Oklahoma coach, if they hire a coach like Dabo Swinney, if they hire even a Dave Aranda, I'm sure Dave tried to recruit him at Baylor, right? He probably wasn't in the top 5, but I'm sure he talked to Dave Aranda. It's important if you're one of those guys that were recruiting Aaron.
You get a big enough name, he comes
back in.
Yeah, he comes. You won't have someone that will reel him back in.
Aaron's different. Aaron's not an Alabama guy that's committed, that is done because he's always wanted to go to Alabama. I think the situation just said, hey, I'm going to change my commitment to the other school. And then when things are stable and when I see that new coach hired, then I'm going to go back in the fold.
You can't blame him. Things are in limbo right now. So,
But I think they're going to hire a great coach. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about not the brackets, but we're going to go through all the teams going to the playoffs. I'm going to throw out my sleepers, and we'll throw out the no-brainers that are undefeated. Jace can chime in. We'll talk about 1A to 5A going into the final week 10, man. Unbelievable. We'll be right back.
It flew by.
Be sure to take your car and truck for all your tire needs to Treads and Care Tire Company located in Central. The number to call is 331-8144. Family owned and operated since 1971. That's Treads and Care Tire Company. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm Lee Brecheen, your host. Our co-host is Jace LeJeune, our editor for Louisiana Football Magazine. We're going to go ahead and start with the first ranking, not rankings. I keep saying rankings, but just rankings, not power.
It's not the playoff seedings. It's just the rankings right now.
1 to 12 right now. We're not going to mention everybody. We won't have time.
Yeah,
to do
top.
this.
Yeah, top 10, top 12.
So
teams.
Class 5A.
Uh-huh.
On the private side, obviously, Catholic's at 8-1. Byrd is 2 at 8-1 in Shreveport. Byrd is shocking me on how good they are with a young team. They're very young. I've seen Byrd play. They've become a better team.
And a new coach.
Byrd would have a tough time, I think, matching up with Catholic or Brother Martin or Jesuit.
Because their one loss came against Natchez Central.
Yeah. So I think what's important for Byrd is to not be on the same side with Jesuit and Catholic in the playoffs. If they can avoid that, if they could play like a St. Paul's to start out, a young Rummel,
sure,
a young Holy Cross is probably getting in at a St. Aug, they could probably win a game in the playoffs. and then it's going to come down to the big heavyweights again. Like I said, Catholic, Jesuit,
Sure.
Brother Martin, maybe a St. Aug, maybe a Scotlandville, who's got all the talent in the world to do it.
That's a sleeper team to watch out for.
The sleeper here to me is Shaw. Shaw's come on. I've watched Archbishop Shaw. They're better than they've been in about 15 years with Tommy Connors, the head coach.
They're getting better and better every single year.
All right, so we're going to move on. 4A, which is 3A and 4A put together in private. U High is number 1 in the state right now at 9-0. Edie White has had a great year at 7-0. They're 2. 3 is Lola Prep, who is 6-3.
They can score.
Jacob Lafitte is a great quarterback
Yeah.
and kicker. We're not going to get too in depth because we're doing a show next week.
Right.
We'll more stay team wise, I guess, today than players. But U High to me is the team to beat. Now, St. Thomas More, Walker may or may not come back. I think he's leaning to try to come back for the playoffs, Jace, the quarterback.
He's trying to, is what I've heard.
Tommy Minton's done a great job at Vandy Catholic this year. Tommy Minton, they're 5-2, which, they have to endure the storm and facilities and all that. I think De La Salle's
De La Salle will be in it.
Look, they're 1-6 because of the
because of the sanctions. That's only because of the sanctions.
Oh my goodness, somebody's going to draw them.
Brothermore and De La Salle. I mean, they're both 11 seeds, and they're not your normal 11 seeds.
The 2 most talented teams I've seen play this year in the 3A, 4A bracket for private side is U High and De La Salle. They're the 2 most talented teams. Now, Edie White had a phenomenal year.
They're a great team. They're a really good team.
And like I said, Lola Prep could shock some people from Shreveport.
And you never know if Walker Howard comes back. St. Thomas More.
Yeah.
You never know with him.
And in Liberty, 7-1, first year in the LHSA, they're a good team. I mean, you never know. They're young, but they're getting better every week. Turlings has had a decent year.
Don't be deceived by their record because they played a lot of close games this year against a lot of really good teams.
And I'm going to mention this. Parkview Baptist, number 8, they're 5-4. They're not the talent that they used to have. But
it's not the old Parkview teams.
But I'm going to tell you what, they're getting the most out of that team that you can get. They might be 15 deep on players, Jace. 15 guys playing most of the game. That's way different than 35, 40 players 5-10 years ago, right? But they are doing a heck of a job getting the most out of their team. And Evangel Christian is 3-6, which it came off an 0-11 year last year. And they're young. They're coming on. That's a team to watch for is the young Evangel Christian team that I saw play week 2. And there are nothing but sophomores and freshmen. Those guys are growing up. And then St. Louis has really come on, losing mainly most of their senior class to the Storm, the Hurricane from a year ago. And they're number 12, right? So
and Brock Mathern's the head coach over there, and he was a great player, great high school football player as there is.
We're going to take a break. Chase. When we come back, we'll talk about 2A and 1A, just the rankings, not the power rankings. We'll be right back.
Come and visit the Majestic Mansion in the Marsh, Gros Savon, Waterfowl, and Wildlife Lodge. Gros Savon is the true sportsman's paradise. Gros Savon Lodge has everything for you from fresh and saltwater fishing, alligator hunting, waterfowl hunting, and eco tours. Located south of Lake Charles. Call 337-598-2357 or visit www.grossavon.com for more information and schedule your trip to the Majestic Mansion in the Marsh, Gros Savon, Waterfowl, and Wildlife Lodge, the true sportsman's paradise today.
Welcome back. You're listening to Sports Scout Report. I'm Lee Brecheen. Jace LeJeune is our co-host today. In the private side of 2A, Lafayette Christian 7-1. They're number 1. Notre Dame, not a shocker, number 2, 7-2. St. Charles, to me, has the most talent outside of Lafayette Christian in 2A, Jace.
Yep.
Episcopal is 8-0, which is, they're just – I didn't think they would be as good this year.
No, they surprised me in calling their games. They have really gotten better each and every week. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in the playoffs.
And number 5 is Isidore Newman, right behind Episcopal. They're 5-2.
They actually, as of now, it would set up a game between Episcopal and Newman, because both teams have a bye first round, really. And second round, Yeah, there's a good chance it's going to be Episcopal and Newman facing off.
The sleeper teams here, and then, like I said, we're going to have a show talking about who's playing who in the playoffs when that's announced Sunday. But
Right.
Ascension Episcopal, Catholic and New Iberia, St. Thomas Aquinas, Menard, those are sleeper teams. Dunham, those are sleeper teams.
Dunham is definitely a sleeper team
Yeah.
to watch out for.
Yeah, and in 1A, Calvary Baptist is trying to return as champs in the private side. They're 8-1 this year. And this is what's, one of their kids was on the cover of magazine this year. Number 2 is Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
7-2.
Isaac Leger, yep.
Big tight end, DN. And number 3, Ouachita Christian. They're always going to be talented, 9-0.
Yeah.
Central Catholic's a team to look for here. Opelousas Catholic, Southern Lab, Vermilion Catholic, and St. Mary's.
Yeah.
And Country Days really maximized their talent this year, Jace.
Yeah, I've seen Country Day play this year, and they got themselves a pretty good running back there in Scott Isaacs. He's a tank to try to bring down.
Ascension Catholics has some disciplined guys off the team. It's changed a lot. They're number 11.
Yeah.
They're still dangerous at number 11 at 6-1. And then St. Edmunds, I've seen St. Edmunds this year. They've got a really good team. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to go to the public school side of 5A down to 1A. And, again, we have our playoff show next Monday and Wednesday going over who plays who. I'll give out some predictions. We'll talk more about the players next week. We'll be right back. Looking for a used car? Harvey Autos has 3 dealerships, which means 3 times the used vehicles. They've got everything from fuel-efficient compacts to luxury models, even hybrids, and certified pre-owned with a warranty. Check out John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, or Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. Lee Brecheen, your host. Jace LeJeune, our co-host. Let's start with 5A on the public side.
Who? That's a grind.
Zachary's 9-0, number 1. Zachary's really had a good, tough schedule, I think. West Monroe, Scotlandville, a lot of tough teams they've played. They don't shy away from competition.
They do not.
And the team that I've been bragging about since August is number 2, Captain Shreve.
Yeah.
They've got the talent to be a shocker to win it all in the end. Ponchatoula, number 3. This could be Hank Turney's last year. They're a senior-laden team. They're 7-0. Ruston has shocked me. They've lost a lot of talent from last year. This year, they're right in position at number 4 in the state in 5A. Destrehan is super talented at number 5. Number 6, Chalmette.
Having a good year.
They're having a good year at Chalmette with a new quarterback.
Yeah.
And number 7, Central High Baton Rouge. I mean, look, they've lost to Zachary. They've lost to a lot of big-time programs. And look at Central sitting at number 7 over Acadiana, who's number 8.
Yeah, we know Acadiana the last 2 years they've won the state championships. They got something to prove, obviously.
Yeah, Acadiana's, they're still going to be a problem for the playoffs for a lot of teams. Ouachita High School had a big win this year over West Monroe.
Watch out. Ouachita has been really close this year in a lot of, like, even before the West Monroe game, they could have been Ruston. They could have been Alexandria. I mean, they can play with anybody in the state.
I want to mention 4 or 5 schools that are not in the top 9, but number 10, Woodlawn, who just beat Catholic High.
Oh, they showed. They showed how dangerous they can be.
Number 11, Santa Ma's very talented. Very talented. And number 12, East Ascension, talented. 13, John Eric's improved. Southside's got a lot of talent. Number 14, West Monroe at 15, which is crazy.
And West Monroe's, there's a sleeping giant right there.
And 2 programs you do not want to play in the first round that is 16 and 17. Natchitoches Central and Benton at 17. 18, Alexandria, same thing.
That's crazy that Alexandria's an 18th seed. That's amazing.
What's really even crazier is that Hahnville's 22 in the state in 5A, and they're very good.
Yeah.
I mean, don't look at 4 and 2. I mean, they've had some cancellations. They got a heck of a schedule.
Right. Like, look at the teams that are right now currently. Now it's going to change, but like are 30 and 32. Like, you telling me Lafayette's a 30 seed?
No.
And East St. John is a 32 seed?
And you don't want to play 26 seed East Jeff.
No.
Or Live Oak at 33. Or Como, who's very talented at 34. And Walker, who's averaging 30 points a game.
They can score, yeah.
They're 3 and 5 at 35.
North Shore's having a great year. They're number 28. I mean, it's 5A is going to be a war on the public side.
Houghton at 20.
Mm-hmm.
This is the hardest state championship to me to win every year.
Yeah, it has to be.
It's 5A on the public side. It's the one that 1 to 35 teams could shock every year. They're just, big rosters, a lot of talent. And here's what's even crazier. Thibodeau's 36, and they're loaded with talent, even though they lost some players.
And right now, it's going to be a dogfight just to get to the playoffs because they only keep the top 32 seeds.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Mandeville's 38.
Right. Mandeville's 38. Barb's 42. Airline's 44. I mean, it's it's going to be a battle just to make the playoffs. It's going to be interesting to see how tonight will play out, considering all these games still have to be played.
Yeah, Thursday games would have played by the time the show airs, obviously, and then Friday games. 4A. It's always been Edna Karr, Neville, and then everybody else.
Right. And actually, one of the biggest games over the weekend is Neville and Huntington. They're contending for the district championship. It's been Neville every single year, so we'll see if Huntington can play with them. If they can play with Neville, then that'll really show a lot to see what they do.
Well, Huntington went from 0-10 2 years ago to now one of the top 3 teams in 4A. What a job their coaches are doing.
Yeah, Coach Dennis. Yep.
Steve, what a great job he's doing. And then look, Northwood's very talented at 4. Salmon at 5. I've been bragging about Salmon.
Yeah, you have all off season.
Salmon's tough, man. Salmon could somehow get into this thing in the end. Warren Easton, you can't count him out.
No, you cannot.
Cecilia's sleeper team at 7. They're loaded.
And they're a veteran team, so.
And Westgate beat St. Thomas More and beat a lot. And Turlings, too. They beat Westgate's a great number 8.
They've always been a sleeper every single year the last couple of years, and that does not change this year. They can definitely make a run for it.
What really is interesting here, Jace, is that 16 Karen Crow. You don't want to play a 16 Karen Crow.
No.
Or even a 17 Eunice. DeRitter at 20, who's talented. I've seen DeRitter play. And South Lafourche, to me, number 22. I'd love for them to get a long ways in this because they've had
went there a lot.
So much going through with the storm. And they got a good team. Played a tough schedule. They're 3-3, but they've played some big-time programs. Your dad's team's 24, Lackaman.
Well, yeah.
And I'm going to tell you who I would not want to play late in the later bracket here if they get in is Mendon at 30.
Yeah, because you've always you've bragged about Mendon.
Oh, in 28, John F. Kennedy. I saw them play Santa Maria earlier this year. They are unbelievably talented.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to play John F. Kennedy.
Yep.
And Franklinton's got a good team at 25.
Right. Yep.
And your dad's team, man, they're looking like a different team now.
Yeah, they've hit a big turnaround. The kids are believing, and they're playing well together. And not just a credit to Dad, but the rest of the coaching staff as well has done an excellent job of really teaching these guys. And they've really bought in the last couple of weeks. And I think it really started with the Terra game, and they really believed when they defeated Liberty anytime you beat them.
Let's go ahead and take a break, Jace. We'll come back. We don't have much time left, but we're going to do 3A, 2A, 1A like Speedy Gonzalez here when we come back. Or like the Roadrunner, right, on the cartoons.
Yep.
But we'll be right back in just a moment. If you need a paint job or repairs to your vehicle, you've got to go to Medine's Collision Center located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on Kincaid Avenue. The number to call is 357-7983. That's 357-7983. Family owned since the 1960s. Welcome back. The Sports Scouting Report. I'm Lee Brecheen, your host. Jace LeJeune is our co-host today, our editor. Be sure to go to LAFootballmagazine.com. I want to mention one of our new sponsors, Gros Savon Lodge, the true sportsman's paradise. If you're thinking of booking a trip for hunting or fishing, or also waterfowl hunting, eco tours, fresh and saltwater fishing, located south of Lake Charles, give them a call at 337-598-2357. Look, I was a customer. Best trip I've ever been on in my life. I grew up fishing as a kid. Didn't fish a lot lately. But my favorite bass fishing trip in my whole life. And I've been bass fishing a lot in my life. And that was the greatest trip. I caught 60 bass in 3 hours.
Wow.
That
That's
does
incredible.
not happen
No, it does not.
That's that's like going to it's like the Wizard of Oz of fishing. Like, whoa, is this real? I mean, is this am I going to see the glass slipper outside the boat? I mean, who catches 60 bass in an hour? I mean, or 3 hours, I mean. But it was incredible. I went, and we were done fishing at 10:30 in the morning. Started at 7:30.
Got a whole day's worth just in a couple hours.
Had over 200 bass. And enjoyed the lodging. We had chefs cook for us and everything. So book a trip to Gros Savon Lodge, 337-598-2357. And let's go to 3A, Jace. On the public side, Sterlington's having a great year. I've seen them play. They're very talented. They're 9-0. This gets confusing, too, because 3A has a lot of good teams.
Yeah.
That could be 4A teams. St. James has been through a lot. They're number 2. St. Martinville's very talented.
Very
They're
talented.
3. Abbeville's surprise.
What a season Abbeville's had.
Whoa, man, what a surprise. Iowa's very talented, number 5. Lutcher, who I went and spoke to their quarterback club, they I love their attitude. They're not talking about they're this or that. They're just kind of acting like, well.
Taking it one game at a time and see where it goes. But they beat St. James decisively.
They did, and they shut down Chaz Preston.
Yeah.
They let me know that.
Now that was the statement right there.
So, I mean, they're the best number 6 seed in any of these brackets. Going in with another game left, right? It's not the final.
Sure.
In Union Parish, number 7 with Trey Hawley and their team, and they're very huge and strong.
There's no question what they're going to do. They're going to run the football.
The sleeper here is Madison Prep, who won it last year's at 10. They're still very good with Chris at quarterback. And the shocker here is Westlake's resurgence in Lake Charles. They're number 13.
John Richardson is one heck of a coach. That's all I have to say. He is a heck of a coach.
Don't count out a very talented Wassman team at number 19. I just saw Wassman play. Jace, they are unbelievable. Wassman they're not a 19. They're more like a 10 or an 8 or a 9. I'm telling you, you can't. I guess not everybody can be ranked in the top 10 like anything.
No. 3A is pretty loaded. They got some really good football teams up above them.
Don't count out Mansfield at 23, Marksville at 31, and Jennings at 27. They still got Etienne. They still got some talent.
You remember the last time they made it to the Superdome, they were only a 24, 25 seed, so they can make a run. They've proven it.
We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, talk about 2A, and then finish it out with 1A on the public side. And all this will change when we do our pairing show next Monday and Wednesday. Just remember to make a note to check in hearing our pairing show next Wednesday and next Monday and Wednesday, 2 parts, part 1, part 2.
Mark it on your calendar.
Yeah, and you'll have to just pull it up on Podbean or wherever you get your podcasts. All you got to do is type in The Sports Scouting Report.
Yep.
With Lee Brecheen, and it'll come up and just see the date.
Right.
And you'll be able to.
It's going to be the first thing that pops up, and then you can also go to LAFootballMagazine.com. We'll have just click podcasts, and we'll have everywhere that the podcast is on.
I'll predict my winners next week. I'm not doing that today. We're just kind of running through the rankings.
Yeah.
We'll go through with the actual who plays who next week.
Yeah, we'll have some fun. Me and Lee will probably pick our winners. Maybe a side bet going on. Who knows?
Who knows, man? We'll bet over a hamburger or something.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Like Archeron said, for the hamburger. Might get a hot dog or something. I don't know, man. Something. But look, we'll be right back. We're going to go to 2A and 1A. We'll talk about the teams ranked before the season's over. We'll talk about that when we come back. Be sure to take your car and truck for all your tire needs to Treads & Care Tire Company, located in Central. Call 331-8144. Family owned and operated. It's 1971. That's 331-8144. Welcome back. You listen to the Sports Scouting Report. I'm Lee Brecheen, your host. Our co-host is Jace LeJeune. 2A, public side. Manny's trying to win it.
Repeat again.
8-1. Number 2 is Lauraville, who's very talented, not as deep as Manny, but very good. They got the Jacob brothers.
They're really good. Yep.
Avoyles is very, very good. Number 3, General Trask is going to try and break that wall down and get to the state championship game. They're 4.
Yeah, they were the semis last year. They were ready to break down that door.
This is where it gets interesting. Number 6 is Amite, 7 North Caddo, Mangum 8.
Ooh, Rose Pine.
Those are some big-time teams that are not in the top 4. That'll jockey. We'll see how this changes after this Friday. Red River's very talented, number 10. St. Helena is incredibly talented at 13.
Yes.
South Plaquemines I saw play. They're very talented at 14. And here's a team you don't want to play at number 18 is Welsh.
No.
You don't want to play them at number 18. And then East Feliciana's coming on at number 19.
Yeah, I saw them play twice. They are when they're cooking, it's hard to beat them. It really is.
Kentwood 23. Don't look at 23 with Kentwood. They're coming on. I've seen them play this year. They're very young, but they're getting better, and they're very talented.
And St. Helena and Kentwood played last week, and St. Helena pretty much won at the buzzer. It was a really good football game.
Tells you how good Kentwood can be.
Yep.
Because St. Helena has 14 prospects.
Yeah. St. Helena took the lead with about 20 seconds left in the game. They had a game-winning touchdown. It was a crazy game.
So 1A on the public side, Logansport's number 1 in the state right now, and Grand Lake, the winner last year's number 2. Oak Grove is a dangerous number 3 at 5-4. Homer is a very talented Richie Casey, number 4. Slaughter Community Charter out of Baton Rouge is number 5.
Having a good year.
Yeah. Haynesville, very young, not very talented, but what a job Coach Franklin's doing.
Yes.
At Haynesville. And LaSalle is really good, 7. And then after that, I've seen Delta Charter. They're very good. White Castle's very talented, by the way, at number 9. Bazille at number 10. West St. John's number 11. They have a lot of talent. And the sleeper here, I believe, if you go later in the rankings here, I like Sicily Island. I like Block at 19, Sicily Island at 25. You don't want to play these teams in 1A that a lot of people don't know a lot about them. I've watched these guys. East Beauregard's great at 14.
Yep.
So it's
really under the radar.
The team to beat will be Logansport, Oak Grove, and then Grand Lake is trying to repeat. Yeah,
Grand Lake's trying to go back to the state championship. Oak Grove's trying to win for the 3rd straight time. And Logansport, and I did an article, it was just on our website, on Jacob Conterio, who is a receiver for Logansport.
Right.
And they started the season 0-4. So they won their last 5 games, and they're on a hot streak right now. And it has to do with the teams they played in the first 4 games. And that's why they're number 1 at 5-4.
Well, I've seen a lot of these teams play in 1A, and there's not much difference between a lot of them. The only 3 that are just on another level is Oak Grove, Logansport, and I think Homer. They're kind of – and then Oak Grove's probably on another level with size.
Yeah.
Any of them.
Really, if you look at the top 4 seeds, I think they're just head and shoulders above everybody else. But, hey, who knows? There could be an upset here and there. But I really agree that those 4 teams – it's going to be really one of those 4 that comes out on top.
I'm not predicting a win or anything today. I'll do that Monday. But I'm going to tell you, the team to beat in 1A that nobody knows about, I watched them play the other day, is White Castle.
Yeah.
Jace, they have a lot of talent. And when I say a lot, when they have 25 guys and not 10, they're dangerous because all their guys are prospects. I've never seen a school where they can only have like 15 kids. They made it to the Dome with like 18 kids.
Yeah, they made it to the Dome a couple years ago.
Yeah, this team has more depth than that team.
Yep, which was not last year, it was the year before that. So 2 years ago they made it to the Dome.
So you give White Castle, this goes back, I remember when they were playing Redemptress back in the day, and the Redemptress they had to play lights out to beat White Castle. That's when they had Lyle Collins and Jeremy Hill and all those guys.
Yeah, that's when they had the safety that went to LSU. Ronald Martin. He played quarterback
at White Castle.
Yeah.
I went to those games, but White Castle's more talent this team than that team.
Okay.
And the team 2 years ago.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. This is a team that's ranked number 9.
Yeah, definitely a sleeper team that can make a run. I will definitely agree with you.
We'll go over the players and stuff when we talk about it.
We'll look at more on the matchups and everything when that's all settled down. But it should be interesting playoffs this year.
I think it's going to be exciting. I'm glad to know that most of these teams are going to be able to play in it.
Yeah.
We had a lot of teams that couldn't play last year because of
forfeits with COVID, yep.
Which is really hard on those kids. I think there were several teams that couldn't play because of COVID.
Yeah.
It's really tough, man, on these young high school kids and parents. But, again, this is good to see that all these teams are – I don't know of any that's not going to play because of COVID. I hope there's not going to be any.
Yeah, we'll know probably. When we're doing the show, the pairing show, we'll probably know Monday or Tuesday because they have to let these teams know early on if they're going to be able to play those games or not.
Also want to give a live shout-out and mention to our sponsors, other sponsors, Medine's Collision Center on Kincaid Avenue in Baton Rouge. Be sure to go over there and drive to Kincaid if you need a paint job or anything wrong with your car and truck. Also, Treads and Care Tire Company, any tire that you need imaginable. They have every brand at pickup and delivery in Central. Their number is 331-8144 to call. Medine's Collision Center, they are family-owned, great people. Their number is 357-7983. And also, John Harvey Toyota. Man, if you need a new or used vehicle, you got to go see them in Bossier City or Shreveport. John Harvey Toyota, Harvey Subaru, and Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City. Low prices, honest people. Tell them Lee sent you. Any final thoughts, Jace, about I know we've talked about Aaron Anderson,
Right.
Edna Karr. We talked about the playoffs. We talked about Coach Simoneaux. Anything you want to take from our interview with our big O lineman at Catholic that committed to LSU, Emory Jones?
Yeah, I just found it interesting that after I went to Catholic High School, and you did call me about it the next day, but I did see it that night. And I was actually with a friend.
Isn't that kind of unique?
Yeah, I was with a friend, and he showed it to me. He's like, that's interesting. We just visited Emory earlier today, but he tweeted that he was a solid LSU commit, and just really talking with him, that's the feeling that I got. He's pretty much as solid as it gets, considering the situation with no head coach in place right now. You don't know what assistants are going to be retained on that staff, and hopefully that Brad Davis is one of those coaches they do retain. But he's pretty much as solid as it gets, being a Baton Rouge guy and really loving the Tigers. And what's also good, that 2019 still fresh in a lot of these guys' minds.
Yeah.
And really, they also look at all these freshmen that played this year at LSU. So it's really telling these guys, these high school seniors, that they can play next year and make an impact.
Well, I'm going to put this out there. Whoever's hired at LSU needs to get Prince Edwards on campus as the fullback. They need that fullback back, and he's the best fullback in the state.
Yeah.
He might even come as an academic guy because of his grades, but he's phenomenal. And then Wesley Woodward as a D tackle reminds me a lot of Kyle Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Jace, when Kyle Williams was at Ruston, people don't remember that. A lot of people don't, but I just want to let the listening audience remember. He only weighed 255. When Kyle Williams got to LSU, he weighed 270. When he played in the pros, he was 305. But if people know Kyle Williams from the Buffalo Bills and LSU, they go, oh, he was 280 in high school. No. He was 255 playing D tackle at Ruston. And I thought his feet were phenomenal. He's only 6 foot tall.
Mm-hmm.
But I had him player of the year that year. Well, This year you got Wesley Woodward at Catholic High. Guess what? He's 6'1", 255.
Yeah, and he's playing defensive end. He plays defensive tackle.
He reminds me of Kyle Williams. I don't care he's not ranked. I think he should be, but I'm saying the rankings are overrated. But this kid is a football player, has 15 or 16 sacks this year. He's the heart of that defensive line, but he's got great feet. He's super strong. He's jersey number 9. And then when you look at, again, the fullback, Prince Edwards, you got two guys a mile from the university that are two of the best players in the state.
And it's two positions where Catholic High the last 5 or 6 years, even with Coach Fertitta was there, and then at the end with Coach Warner, they had those similar type of guys at defensive end. They had those similar type of H-back, fullback types as well. I believe a couple years ago they had an H-back, fullback, and he was playing center. I think he signed as a center.
Right.
So it just shows you those type of players, and they really like those type of molds at the defensive end position and at that H-back position too.
LSU made a mistake twice with Catholic High D linemen. Matthew Broha was one.
Yeah.
He goes to Tech and was a star.
Exactly.
And he would have been a star at LSU. And they had another kid, Ureta, go to Tech.
Yeah, Yadarga.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He went to Tech and was all everything.
Yeah.
It just seems like when you're very close to LSU and you're that close to the address, they don't recruit as hard, and they need to look. I think that should be the opposite moving forward, that your kids that grow up here, you need to, do a little deeper recruiting research. And the tape on Wesley's going to go out pretty soon. It's going to blow up. He had 5 sacks on Lafayette Christian's Fitzgerald West.
Yeah.
Fitzgerald was playing the offensive line.
That's true. Yeah.
He went up against Fitzgerald West, had 5 sacks in that game and 10 hurries.
That's amazing.
That's a D tackle.
Yeah.
That doesn't
because he made the move to inside to help them out. He was a defensive end.
Right. So he reminds me of Kyle Williams in build, effort, and strength. But again, I just want to remind people, Kyle Williams did not weigh 270 at Ruston. They're going to go 255, really? No, he was 255. When Robert Peace was a linebacker on that defense, Robert was about 225, and he signed with Tennessee, which broke a lot of people's hearts that year, Jace.
Okay.
Because he was one of the top 3 recruits in the state. He ended up marrying Philip Fulmer's daughter.
Okay.
But then when people were watching Robert Peace, they were looking at Kyle, and that's what I did. I saw him play Sandoval in the playoffs. And I was like, who's this 6-foot-tall, 255-pound D tackle that's like the Tasmanian devil rushing, and he's built like Lou Ferrigno, like a bodybuilder heavy champ.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I see with Wesley.
Okay. Yeah, and it's that ability, and not only you, but like Nick Saban looking at Kyle Williams and seeing what you can be. And that's what sometimes maybe a lot of these college coaches get wrong. They see the 5-star, but that might be as fully developed as they can get.
Well,
and they can't hit that next level.
I'll take some credit for this, but before you were even in high school or junior high, we did a recruiting banquet downtown. We had all the recruits come out. And that class, we were giving trophies to Kyle Williams and all the players. And guess who was my MC?
Who?
Nick Saban.
Oh, Nick Saban was. Okay.
And that's when we named Kyle Williams Player of the Year.
Okay. Yeah.
And had his film. We had all our film on a big video.
Okay.
And that's when it was legal.
Right.
But we had all the greats there.
Yeah, I've heard the stories.
Yeah, we did those for about 7 years in the state. And I know that it had to do a little bit of an impression on Nick being there, watching his film and saying, 6 foot tall is looking pretty good.
He just
now.
goes to the banquet just to see the film.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Aaron Anderson's that way. You know, Aaron's, like I said, 5'9" from Edna Karr. You go, oh, he's not that big. Oh, he's just another receiver. No. You can't go back and get another one like him if you lose this one. He's unique.
And the thing is about him, we talk about his speed and all of this and his ability, his extra gear, all that. He's competitive. Like he is feisty, and he's a football player. Like he wants it. Like, and they throw a lot of jump balls to him, and he comes down with them.
Well, and I want people to know at Catholic High, if you listen to the last 2 shows, we couldn't interview all 14 prospects at Catholic High that day.
Yeah, we couldn't.
It took us 3 hours to do that 7 or 8 we did. So if we would have interviewed all 14, would have been there for 7 hours. And Catholic didn't have 7 hours of open time.
No, and just graduating there myself,
Right.
they have three lunch periods.
Right.
So we pretty much had to wait for which guys were really available for all 3 lunch periods.
And Wesley Woodward was sick that day, so he was out.
Yeah.
And then Prince, we just didn't have time to get him in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But we talked.
We mentioned a whole lot about Prince though. So.
But just remember that guy. I mean, when he hits you as a blocker, Jace, when Prince Edwards hits you, I mean, he's 6'1", 225, and runs a 4.6. He never gets the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks like he just loves to TKO people. And when I tell you he hits people when linebackers come in the gap, he takes them out and he finishes. It's just scary. And that's what a true fullback's about. He's got a perfect frame for it.
And I love what Corey Singleton, when you interviewed Corey and how strong of a guy he is, he said that I'm right there with Emory. You know, it's like, okay, what about Prince? Like, no, Prince is by far the strongest guy on their football team.
He looks like it.
Which shows you that if he outlifts a guy like Emory Jones, which really shows how strong Prince is.
So Prince is pushing 400 bench.
Yeah.
Because Emory's in the mid-3s.
Because he's like, Corey he said, I'm right there with Emory. He's like, what about Prince? No.
Right.
No.
Right. But I'm throwing that out because this is stuff you're going to hear when recruiting is over. But before recruiting is over, people get too caught up in rankings, and then they don't look at really who might be the best players. You know, and LSU needs a fullback. When they brought the fullback back, what happened this year, Jace?
Yeah, the running game really started working.
They put Jack Mashburn.
Jack Mashburn came in and
look what happened. And this guy Prince Edwards, he's the number 1 fullback I've seen in Louisiana in 3 years.
And that's the impressive thing. Like he's already playing fullback. Jack was a quarterback at St. Paul's. He wasn't always a fullback.
Right. He had to learn, bulk up.
Yeah.
He walked on. He was about 195 when he came to LSU as a tight end. Now he's about 225 at 6'2.5". He's still going to get bigger. John David Moore did this. John David Moore was a great player.
Yep.
And he should have got a scholarship out of Ruston, but it all worked out for him. But again, I'm throwing guys out not just because. I'm throwing out because I'm truly meaning these are the best.
People say it's a dying position, but, I mean, there's still life in it. I mean, you look at the 49ers with Kyle Juszczyk. They still use him a whole lot. So, like, the fullback, the H-back is really the fullback.
I think a lot of teams
so it's still being used.
Tried to phase it out thinking, well, it's a fast game. We're going 4 or 5 wide. But guess what? If you can't throw the ball, you don't have a fullback to go back to run the ball. And that's what happened to LSU.
Yeah.
Against Kentucky, they couldn't run the ball.
Right.
Because they didn't have any blockers.
Yep.
If they would have had Mashburn set up to do that against Kentucky and UCLA, if this would have happened, well, that's why we got a new coach. But if they would have done this way back to UCLA game and have those extra fullback H-backs, you know, look what Torrey Carter did. He was a battering ram. He's with the Tennessee Titans right now, I believe.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
So, I mean, coaches sometimes go, oh, we're getting rid of this. Well, guess what? We might want to rethink that.
Yeah, you always have to be adjusting. You always have to be looking at your personnel, and there's so much to do as a head coach of a big Division I college instead of just, all right, game day, let's get ready for game day and use our practice plan. You have to always be evolving.
I do remember what Saban did tell me. One thing he did tell me when I talked to him briefly on the phone. When I talked to him, he said, "I want tight ends." And I want you most athletic, tallest, biggest tight ends that are even has frames to add more weight. But we're going to either make them tackles or D ends or fullbacks. He was looking at battering ram is all he had on his mind is I'm going to build a front line that you cannot get around. And that's what he's done in Alabama. He's always got 4 tight ends. He's always converting a lineman to tight end. And so LSU's got to get back to that. I think they got to go get some big tight ends. That if they don't make it at tight, they become a Whitworth. Whitworth was a tight end, remember?
Yeah. They were throwing him the ball at some times at West Monroe.
He came in at 270, 6'7". He ended up 320. Now he's 335 in the pros, and he's 40 years old, still playing, right?
Yeah, everybody talks about Tom Brady and being in his 40s and playing quarterback. What about Andrew Whitworth being in his 40s playing left tackle? That's amazing.
When I was going up to watch West Monroe games, I saw Andrew play tight end, and when you looked at him in high school, you go, oh, he needs to gain a little bit of weight, or he needs to learn how to block. Believe me or not, he was not an accomplished blocker when he was a junior. And so you could see, though, he had this body from like, okay, if you're going to carve up a big guy, right? But he just didn't know how to play. Well, his senior year, he ended up being a good blocker, and I remember going to a basketball game at your high school, Catholic High, and guess who's playing basketball for West Monroe?
Andrew Whitworth.
I watched him run down the court, and I swear, I'm like, is that Allen Iverson a forward? I mean, Whitworth at 6'7", now he was about 275, 280. He ran the court. He had a 6-pack stomach at 280. He's running the court like he's 5'9", 155. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, after the game, I was like, they got to sign that guy. Well, guess what? You got to get those guys. Now, they're not walking around all over town like that.
They don't grow on trees.
But there are a lot of guys that are 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", that weigh 240, 250, 230, that can run, and you sign them, you move them to DN, like Marcus Spears was a tight end.
Yeah, right.
He was moved to DN because he was very athletic.
He was playing running back against Dad when Dad was coaching against him. They were handing him the football.
But that's a pattern that's been lost and dropped at LSU. When Saban left, that stopped. Stephen Peterman came to LSU from same school as Brennan.
Yeah, St. Stanislaus.
St. Stanislaus, Mississippi. And I went to camp. Guess what? Stephen Peterman was a tight end. Mm-hmm. He was 6'5", 255 tight end, and Saban went, "You're an offensive lineman."
Yeah, he was a pretty good one at LSU. He was.
Peterman was like, "No, I'm not." And I remember standing with Peterman's dad at practice, a recruit camp, right, back when I thought it was really good to go. And his dad's like, "Well, he might end up being a good offensive lineman since he runs a 4.89 at 260, 6'5". I said, "Yes, sir. He's a hamburger away from 290." again, that was a blueprint that worked.
Yeah, he still does it at Alabama. You notice Trevon Diggs, the cornerback for the Cowboys, he came in as a receiver,
Right.
and Nick Saban had to convince him, like, you're going to be a cornerback. You're not going to be a receiver.
How
and it
about
worked
Corey
well.
Webster from St. James?
Yeah.
Corey
He
came
played quarterback
in, and he came in as a receiver at
Yeah.
LSU. He moved him to corner.
Right.
They got to get back to putting guys and recruiting guys that are definitely that tight end position to put at O-line. The LSU needs those athletic guys that can grow in the position instead of just recruiting highly recruited big linemen.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
LSU's O-line was slow this year and not athletic, and that's why. Go find a couple of 6'5" guys, 255, 260 that show up at 290 and they can run.
I mean, for example, because Lloyd Cushenberry actually saw him play when my senior year at Catholic,
Right.
and he was, he wasn't, the big 5-star recruiter or anything, but he evolved. That's what he did. And
Cushenberry weighed about 270,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
about 6'4",
Yep.
and he was raw, but he had great feet. And I remember leaving the game when I was watching him block for, believe it or not, Landon Collins.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And I was watching him block for Eddie Lacy and some of those guys. But I remember saying, this guy's D1, but he's a raw guy.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a 4.0 GPA.
And he wasn't polished then. Yeah.
But he goes to LSU, and he leaves at 319 pounds at 6'4", 6'5", and he's a starting center for the Broncos now.
And you also got to realize that these are high school kids. They're going to grow. They're still growing.
Yeah.
Like, you're still evolving. You're still growing. And that's something you have to look at, too. What is their upside? What is their full potential? Because some kids might have grown too early.
Yeah,
and that's why they're 5 stars.
I just think the blueprint with Orgeron was about go get all the 5 stars that are already maxed out and whoever everybody else is recruiting. But, at Alabama, even Georgia, you got to see the trees through the forest, and you got to be able to say, okay, this guy, like we said, he's 6'5", 220 now. He's going to be 260. He's going to end up being a stud. And that's what Georgia has on their D-line right now. They got a bunch of guys that came in a little lighter,
Mm-hmm.
but they had great feet. And a lot of them guys, believe it or not, Jay, some of those linemen were not highly recruited like 5-star level. And they have really, whoever's a D-line coach at Georgia is off the charts developing these guys. And I got to give Kirby Smart credit.
Yeah, he's
for
done a
evaluating.
good job this year.
I think he's a phenomenal evaluator of talent.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Because they've lost a lot of talent where they've never had excuses to go, okay, we've lost 10 juniors and we're dropping off like an LSU. They've never dropped off.
And I feel like that's his biggest talent, and he's put into use is evaluating talent, recruiting. He's
Putting
a great
them in
recruiter,
good spots
and putting them in good spots, putting them in a position to succeed.
And he's working
That's what he does
he's
well.
working on the game day, I think.
Yeah, that was his biggest struggle, but I think he's done a good job of managing games
This year.
Yeah.
Georgia's really shocking me. They really are. I thought they would stumble by now. They still got to beat Bama and Atlanta.
That's gonna be the big test.
Because if they lose to them, they're going to say, oh, you're just like Rick. You can't beat the big games. You can't win the big games. So that'll be 4 big games.
Luckily, he'll get 2 chances. So if they lose to Bama the first time around, you'll get another chance at him in the national championship. Looks like.
I really was impressed with Georgia when they stomped on Florida and beat them pretty easily this past week. That was a very statement win. Because Florida, you never just blow them off the field in that game. And Georgia's first game where they just basically just toyed with them. I don't even think Florida should have even scored in the game, really, But
That defense is really impressive.
But LSU's got to get their recruiting back to homegrown kids that love LSU, like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, locally, that wasn't highly recruited. Guys that have the talent, though. A lot of these Jack Beshes, Clyde Edwards, to get the program back, and I think that's what it's going to take with the new coach.
Or Justin Jefferson, he was only a 2-star. He loves LSU, and
I tell the story all the time. I saw Justin play against Woodlawn in Baton Rouge, returning punts when he was a junior, and he was 170, 6'2", and I was like, when he touched the ball as a punt returner, I was like, that guy is different. It's not like he gained all this talent. He filled out.
Yeah.
He was 170, and coaches are like, I don't want. He's 170. I'm like, are you crazy? The guy runs a 4.4 40, and he's 170. He's going to be 190 one day. and now he's 200 pounds playing for the
Just get him in the
Vikings.
college weight room. He'll be all right.
If you have the talent, you have the talent. And the only reason he didn't sign earlier is because his grade, he wasn't qualified till after signing day.
That's right.
Nobody ever says that.
Yep.
If he'd have been qualified before signing day, he probably would have took and then again, maybe not, because he was a Jefferson LSU guy.
Yeah, right.
But he waited on LSU.
Yep.
And that worked out, thank goodness for
It
him.
did, yeah.
To go with Jamar Chase and Moss and Clyde and Burrow.
Unbelievable.
And
all those guys.
Yeah.
Burrow wasn't, he wasn't a 5-star or anything.
No, but
coming out of high school.
Coming out of Ohio, he was a little leaner. He was probably 180, 6'3".
Yeah.
Now he's 6'4", 220. Again, I think coaches get too caught up into like the final product and not guys that pass other guys up when they do fill out. And that's what's happening, I think, with LSU, especially in state. And then also the caring of how much it means to play at LSU, being a local recruit.
And I mean, there's only 25 offers every year. Like 20, and everybody in the whole state, all these players, all these kids, their dreams play at LSU. Just think about it's like the 5 golden tickets. There's 25 golden tickets to play at LSU. And
you always got to go get maybe 8 or 10. But you know what? You shouldn't be signing less than 13, 14 players of the year from Louisiana. And LSU's been averaging like 7 or 8. That's not enough.
Yeah.
I mean, you should always sign at least 14 kids from Louisiana, at least 14.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At least. But we're going to go ahead and end the show. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll come back on Monday with our playoff show.
Yeah,
We'll
make
talk
sure y'all
about-
guys tune in.
Tune in, and if you don't get an email from us, you can go to Podbean and just type in the Sports Scouting Report.
That's all you have to do. Go to lafootballmagazine.com. And if you have a social media, go with Facebook, go with Twitter, because the podcast is going to be posted there too.
And our website. And
go to the website.
part 2 will be on Wednesday for the other half because it's going to be so big. And we're going to go video with it. It won't be our permanent video location. It's going to be our first video show.
No.
And it'll probably be close to 2 hours combined.
There's a lot to talk about.
A lot of stuff. So hope you enjoyed today's show. We'll see you on Monday.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.